This is the Book and Podcast, and I've got two guests today, and this is actually a first for me, a couple as guests. So we've got Emma, who we've had on before, and Tom.
Yeah.
Yes. Couples therapy.
Couples therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't the plan, but if it ends up that way...
We'll be paying you by the end.
Yeah, I don't know if you can afford my rates, to be honest with you.
Damn it.
But yeah,
down, then.
if it ends up as that, it ends up as that.
Heated topics I can imagine coming up.
How to find a Tesco car park.
Yeah, we won't... was that the cause of an argument then? You've sent me the wrong way.
It was just...
stressful.
Yes.
Team building.
Team
We'll call
building,
it.
yeah.
You could say that. It was...
Yeah.
Where should we go? Not sure.
I don't know. But in fairness though, and anyone else who's been on this episode has had trouble with parking, it is quite difficult to find the car park, which you would think was easy, but...
Yeah, because you can find the Tesco, but it's not like...
Yeah, and as we said as well, there's also a Tesco on Ware Road in Hertford, which just adds to the confusion. So listen, you're excused.
Why would Ware Road not be in Ware?
I don't know.
Hertford.
Exactly. Honestly.
But I mean, carry on if you need to. Carry on if you need to.
We've gone past it now.
We've gone past it.
We've moved on.
But the thing that we were going to focus on, at least start to focus on, is what we had Emma on previously about her blog that she started. Emma Tries Environmental. You don't have to... I don't know if that's a smile of pride or a smile of embarrassment. I don't know, but...
Both.
Bit of both.
Proudly embarrassed.
Proudly embarrassed. That's fine. Yeah. But you've been doing it for a little bit now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I started late April, something like that. There was a gap in the middle because went through it was like, you know, the like pandemic, and so everything got a bit stressful. Yeah. So I stopped writing for a little bit, but now I'm trying to be regular again, trying to actually post, but be more like realistic, because I was trying to do one a week, and then to try and churn out quite. I like to be relatively detailed. I don't want to just be like, it was good, bye, sort of thing.
It doesn't really add much then if you do that. It's nice. Anyone can say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like the fact that you add the detail, and it's a very practical way of looking at it, rather than just, it's good for the environment. I think you drill a bit deeper than that.
Because I quite like looking into like the stats behind it, and like working out sort of the cost efficiency and like
how long they last as well, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing quite a lot recently.
I think that the break more was a little bit due to the fact that you started it, but you hadn't sort of prepared beforehand, and all like you started to write went to write all these things, and you realised, I hadn't actually started to use it yet for a sufficient amount of time to rate it. I need to actually get through a few bits and then start.
Because I almost started back in the summer, like not this summer, the last summer. And I sort of didn't actually, and so those were the first sort of things. I had like 3 or 4 products that I'd actually been using for like 9 months, and then I was talking to you, and it went from sort of like, I might start writing a blog, and just sort of start. Maybe I'll start an Instagram, and then I started talking to you, and you're like, right, let's do a podcast.
That's the funniest thing, because I think
a bit 0 to 100.
Yeah, it very much did. But I think it was a case I sensed a lot of the things you were feeling about what she was doing were very much what I felt towards doing the podcast, and it wasn't that long ago that I started it, and I've gone through phases where I've doubted myself a lot, and I've gone, does it matter, does anyone care? But I think ultimately, if you want to do something and you find it enjoyable, why not just go for it? And like, that's why I pressured you. And it was quite funny, because you were like, I'm scared to put my blog out, and I was like, let's do a podcast about it.
And I'm glad that I have, and I just try not to think about people actually reading it.
No.
But
I mean, I think anything like that, I think it's good to pursue something that you're passionate about, whether it be a podcast or a blog or even music. And it's nice to...
There are some.
Never mind, we've got customers at the door.
Do we say something?
No. That's my train of thought. Yeah, so I think it's good that people pursue them because it's what they love doing, and if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If not, it's just a passion.
Yeah.
And sort of the people who would belittle something like that, it's a bit of a strange sort of idea to me. It's like, why would you belittle someone for doing something they love?
For doing something they love, giving something a go. But it is funny, those kind of people, just disregard them. I know that's sometimes easier said than done, because you might be a little bit nervous about what you're doing already, and then as soon as someone jumps on that and goes, oh, what's Sam doing with this podcast, or what's Emma doing with her blog, it's quite easy for you to then jump on with that same narrative because you're already apprehensive about it. And it just confirms a lot of those things that you're worried about, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I won't do it then.
Yeah, I think I'm very sort of, it's weird, I find it easy to share with like strangers because it's like, well, if they don't like it, who cares? I'm never meeting them. But then the thought of people that I sort of know reading it, I'm a bit like, ooh. But then like I'll share it with like my sister to get her thoughts before I actually publish it. So it's a bit of like a you.
But it is natural to feel that way. It really is. But I think the thing that you need to look on that is, right, if someone's going to just be overly critical, yes, a little bit of, oh, maybe you want to try doing this, and push, that's absolutely fine. But if someone would just go, oh, what are you doing? That's ridiculous, and start, just making a joke of it. That's when you need to question, okay, do I actually value our friendship? Yeah.
Is there a friendship?
Is there a friendship? Yeah. Because you can see it's something that I'm passionate about. You see it's something that I enjoy, something that I love, and you're just going to knock me down for it.
Yeah.
I also think I just try, I don't know, you said this a while ago, but I just try and imagine people, because a lot of people now have an Instagram, and so people follow me on Instagram and like my post, and I'm like, oh, this person likes it. But then I'm just like, yeah, but they wouldn't actually read it. And that's my thought, and it helps me to think that people don't read it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't care as much as about what you're doing as you think they do. It's like I can put a podcast out, and it'll be like a few dozen people will open it, but not necessarily listen to the whole thing, and I'll be like, okay, what's the point in stressing? I could easily go into a room and talk to that many people, so why is it just such a big deal? Just do what you love.
And to think of like all the sort of blog posts or just things you read online, how many times do you think of who's writing it? You just think of the content of what is being written.
Exactly right. I'm not, and even if it were I were to read an article or a blog post that I didn't enjoy, I wouldn't then go, right, who's written that? Let me hunt them down. Oh, by Emma tries environmental. Let me find her personal who is she? But obviously it's at the forefront of our minds when we're putting something out there. We just want it to be well received, and particularly something you care about it. That's when it becomes even more of a big deal. Yeah.
And when you're starting out as well, you're not going to be where you want to be straight off the bat. No. You need to sort of make those mistakes at the start of like grammatical errors or whatever. Same with like music, you're going to make bad songs, and whether people hear it or not is whether you just put it out to get better at it.
That's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
As eventually you hit the song, or you get in the groove of doing something, and it sticks from there. But it doesn't often take a couple of tries. It's a long graft.
No, and even then you might feel as though you've mastered whatever you're doing, and then something else will come up, or you want to take it in a different direction, and it's like, oh, I've taken a few steps back, but isn't that the fun of it?
Yeah. Being changeable, I guess it's ever changing. I look, because I like to sort of have the structure the same, and then I'll look at like earlier posts as I'm writing, and I'll be like, why did I have that? I'm just going to change and things like that. But hey ho.
I mean, that's the good thing about yours is you can change it.
You can change it.
You can't change a song.
It's not set in stone, so you could go.
Well, I don't think so.
The ratings are final.
Yeah.
Grammatical mistakes are not.
But that's actually, we've talked about what other people think of Emma's writing. I know you've mentioned a few things already, but what do you think of Emma's blog, Tom?
He's not allowed to read it.
Oh, you're not allowed to read it?
I've taken... Well, I know it's sort of... I can understand why she wouldn't want me to read it.
Right.
Because it's sort of like the person...
Have you had a sneaky peek, though? Be honest.
I haven't read the blog, like the full blog post, but I've seen, like, obviously when they've been posted on Instagram, I've sort of read the
Had a
top
look.
line. But I think it's really good. Obviously, I don't get to see the content of it, but I can see why, because of our relationship, and it's a different sort of dynamic to, say, when she gets her sister to have a look over it, because obviously she's known her sister all her life. It's a bit different.
I think my sister's good at writing in that she does a history degree.
So hang on, are we saying Tom... I'm trying to get the scoop here. So we say Tom's not good at writing.
Let me finish.
Wow, just daggers in the back there.
So I kind of send it to her for sort of writing and what she thinks, and she knows my sort of style of writing as well. And so, like, even with the one that I just posted, she sent back a few things and then was like, this seems more formal than your other ones, maybe include this, but and the point that I was going to make is, I think, and it kind of leads on from what I was saying earlier, I care more about Tom's opinion than just random people in the street.
You're almost like just...
So I'm
you don't want it under that spot. But
I know he wouldn't.
I know Tom's character, and he's not the type of... And to be honest, I'd imagine even if he hated it, to tell you the truth, he probably would say he loved it.
Yeah, I'd hope so. But yeah, I don't know. But
well, I can sort of understand in the sense of when I was doing my like essays for uni, I wouldn't want like certain people to proofread it because it's a different pressure. It's sort of, I don't want, if I do have like some sort of error in there, or like this doesn't make sense, it feels a bit weird for certain people to be like, that's wrong. It's just a sort of a dynamic thing. I don't know.
It's a different spotlight that you're not necessarily used to, I guess. Like just shining it on an area that you might consider separate, and I'm just doing this thing, and it's like, hang on, now I've got someone I really care about.
To be fair, it helps in I don't know why I've had it, in different ways, like a lot with the picture taking and things like that, and sort of not necessarily like the writing, but around the content and the actual like reviewing of products. Like there's a lot of things that I use that Tom uses that we sort of share ideas about and things like that, and not just on like, there are products that I've used that I've talked to friends and other people about what they think, and sort of incorporated a different side, because there was one I did on shampoo bars, which I really like. By the way,
that's
putting that out there.
Is it a spoiler?
Yeah.
Have you not posted that already?
I have done that one, yeah.
Oh, okay, not spoiler.
Not spoiler. But and I was talking to someone who dyes their hair. Right. And so obviously I don't have to worry about that, because, but and even they were saying like, they still use it, they still really like it. So it's just trying to like,
so even if you dye your hair, Tom, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's how it started already.
Why's that?
In fact, that's actually one of the things I use already, the shampoo bars. Because it's sort of it was in my mind beforehand of, I could, like, I have relatively short hair, I could probably use that. But it's always this thing, I suppose with most things when you're making a change, is are they good?
Good.
Like, do you want to spend about like maybe a little bit more than you would have on certain things, if it's not going to work, or you're just going to throw it in the bin? I think that's the good thing about.
I was just about to say, have you heard of a lovely blog that Emma does? But that's very, I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you about is like what you hope to achieve, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like you just want to cut through a lot of the crap with these products and not just because it is all well and good for us to sit there and go, oh, I'm making a good environmental change, but is it as good as the thing that's already out there?
Yeah.
And sometimes the case is no, but a lot of the things that you've tried seem to at least be close enough or match it.
Yeah, it was actually, it's only recently that I'm actually writing it currently, that I've got something that I don't like and I won't continue using.
Can you tell us what it is yet?
That would be a spoiler. I think.
That would be a spoiler. Let's keep it under wraps then.
But and as I was writing it, I said like there are different alternatives out there that can work better and achieve the same sort of results. So instead of continuing with a product that I don't really get along with, just try a different sort of route.
I suppose it's the same if, like, when vegetarianism sort of started to become a thing. Obviously, it's been a thing for a while, but when it sort of became an ideology, like companies started coming up with like vegetarian and vegan alternatives. Yeah. And a lot of the ones at the start weren't very good. Still, a lot of them aren't very good. So it's like,
but then you have the benefit of time to tweak that and get that feed. And in some ways, actually, this is what Emma's doing with her blog. Yeah. She'll have that feedback through time with my podcast. I'll have that feedback through time, and you'll just have that time to make those little tweaks and refinements and work up to the ultimate vegetarian sausage ultimately. Well, not in Emma and my case, that's not our ambition, but for these vegetarian companies.
Well, it's like if your first experience of tasting something like that was something like a vegetarian sausage that wasn't very nice, you might be put off for a while, and that's why something like Emma's blog where she can say, oh, this is pretty good, you should try it, rather than going in and blind buying it and not knowing how good it is. It can help introduce more people to the sort of getting into sort of the groove of being more eco-minded.
So Emma's saving the planet single-handedly.
Exactly.
Only me.
I think that's where it has its place. So it's just quite a nice way. And as well, but you mentioned this thing you're trying right now that you can't tell us exactly what it is. Maybe off air you can tell us. Who knows? But that adds to your credibility as well. You're not just saying it's all great. You're saying it's maybe not quite there yet, but there are other alternatives that you could give a go.
And I think, like you said, I think the product will develop because it will make sense of it knows, but they always do in that. And if I tried it again in a year's time, it might do better than.
And I think that's crucial as well. Is a lot of the things, maybe that current iteration of them, that version of them at this moment in time, it might not be good enough. But you've got to be willing to go, okay, maybe let's give it 2 or 3 years and give it another go. You know, you said about trying vegetarian substitutes for a period of time and then going, oh, actually, I hated that. I'm not going to try it again. It reminds me of something my mum says about corn mince. She tried it once like a decade ago. She was like, it was horrible. She was like, I'm not trying it again. And then you think, okay, within 10 years they probably refined it, changed the recipe a bit, probably tastes a fair bit different from what it did 10 years ago.
I mean, that's a good thing about more companies joining the market for eco-friendly stuff, because that means people are always trying to develop and make better stuff, but also it's more accessible because the prices are going down because people are having to be more friendly to the market.
I think that's a massive thing. And even there are some reviews that I've tried 3 different products of the same thing, like the shampoo bars. I had a really nice Lush one. I had one from an eco-friendly shop, but then they started selling them. I had one from Tesco's, and the price of the Lush one I think was 7 or 8 plus
around that.
And same for the other one, maybe even 9. But then the one that they were selling in Tesco was £3. So it's instantly made it a lot more accessible to a lot more people. But nothing to say about that.
No, I think it is a good point. The more and more that they're put out there, and also as well that brings a wider variety of things as well. So even if shampoos is quite a narrow, I guess there's only so much you do with shampoos, but it could be a food stuff where it's like, okay, I don't quite like that, but the more people that are putting them out there, the more likely you go, oh actually I'll try that one, and you land on one that you like.
And it's when they start, because some eco-friendly stuff does end up being more cost effective than some of the stuff that you would buy normally. Stuff like people buying like water in plastic bottles when they could just buy a water bottle and keep refilling it. That's going to save people money, and when they realise that, they're going to sort of be more inclined to do it.
Well, just opposite us, there's not that long ago open, and it's annoying because I think I said last time to show you a bit on Mondays, the day which I normally record on, it's the one day it's closed, but it's just exactly that. Is you go there with a refillable container, whatever it is. So they've got shampoo, or they've got pasta, they've got all sorts of stuff in there. So it's just like a great way of doing it. But it is currently it is more expensive, which is surprising, and it is a bit of a shame, because for a lot of people that can be the deciding factor as to whether or not they want to try stuff, because it's like, this is what I have now, let's give that a go. But if you think about it in terms of there, you can buy exactly the amount that you need because you do it by weight. So there's zero waste. It's obviously going to be a lot fresher as a result, because it's not sat in the back of your cupboard, if it's something like pasta for years potentially.
I must say I think it's effort as well, to be honest, and that is some things like some products that I have tried I've liked, but it's so much easier if they're in a shop like that you get the rest of your weekly shopping in, like the like shampoo bars in supermarkets, or they do the bamboo toilet roll line tries now in Waitrose, so you don't have to order it straight from the company, it costs you more, blah blah blah. So I think that's one accessibility, because to have the time also to go to a shop with all your little containers. You have to go
out of your way for bring your you have to be prepared. For a lot of people, most people don't remember like bags for life, but even still people will still forget, so it's like just one extra thing you have to do.
Well, that's why I was quite like not excited, but like I wanted to see how the they announced like the refill at Waitrose, or some of the stores, I think it was Oxford.
Oxford.
I wanted to see how that would work in a supermarket, because I've seen there's a refill shop in St Albans as well that we've been in, and it's a really nice place, and it would be good to have one closer, because it would mean travelling to Hertford,
which sort of does the point of you. I'm being really environmentally friendly. I'm driving all the way over to this place miles away.
So obviously when we go and sort of have a look around St Albans for the day, we go and have a look, but we can't sort of do the weekly shopping there as well. So it would be good to see how it goes, and see if they can, if it goes well, see if they can bring it to more stores.
I think that was a proper setback of COVID though, because it was at the start, not the start of that.
Literally, as they were trying to roll that
Couldn't have been worse timing for sort of trying to trial stuff like that, would it?
Because were they just wrapping it up as it's setting? Because I knew that was about for a while, but
I think they'd just started the trial period in one of the stores, I think. Maybe.
But I think that is hopefully something we'll move towards. Not everything, particularly initially. I think just bulk things like pasta and rice, like for goodness sake, like you could quite easily have a rice container that you just bring from home, you put in your trolley, and you just go, right, this is my rice container, I need this much rice.
It's because it's kind of sort of the same as just loose vegetables, so why not the rest of the products? But that annoys me so much, vegetables in plastic.
Let's not get your blood boiling. However, the next thing I wanted to touch on actually involves us getting off our environmental high horses, because we've talked a bit about all these great things that we do and that we're doing and we're going to do. However, what I was curious to know for both of you, what's the most awful thing that you think you do for the environment?
I still drive to work. That will be
I would say it would be my driving. Because it's something that sort of thought about when I passed my test and I was looking to get a car, I was like, I have been walking all this time and it hasn't been too bad, but I know like sometimes I really could have done with a car. I thought, I've been saving up so much, I like just get a car. And then I do have it in the back of my mind when I drive, I was like,
I could quite easily walk that.
Yeah.
So I think I've become a bit more aware in myself that if I was going to say go to the shops or even walk to town, I was like, as long as the weather's not really bad, I probably should walk. But yeah, the car's probably the worst.
Did you say the same for you as well, Emma, the driving?
Yeah, and I think worse because my driving test is coming up soonish. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So that means driving to work, but then I'm also
Driving around for the sake of it.
Driving around for the sake of it, yeah, which does hurt. But I just think once I'm done, then I focus on, because at the moment my parents have to be in the car with me to take me to work.
Yeah.
Or for me to drive to work.
And then they drive back.
Yeah, and then so there are some days that I could get the train or I could walk. But I think when I do one of the things that in an ideal world, I'd cycle, I'd walk, train, whatever. But sometimes I start at 7, which isn't that early. Sometimes I finish at 9:30, and especially now it's dark and I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable walking. What is it, like 3 miles?
Yeah, about half an
3-4.
hour-ish. Yeah,
so half an hour-ish by myself.
Yeah. I think you can be excused for that, and I think if we all of us put ourselves under a lens, like we could and I think for most people it would be those unnecessary trips that we could walk or we could cycle, but sometimes it is either that convenience factor or, as you rightly meant, like that safety factor as well. So it's,
I mean, I can't pin it all on that. Sometimes it is just driving.
But we're all guilty of it, and we said before we recorded, I've started cycling this work, so I can be all on my high horse and be like, however, I have been very much guilty, and I will, I'm not kidding myself, I will continue to be guilty of it. Little short journeys in my car that's a diesel as well, so that's particularly bad, doing short journeys.
I mean, there is, I'm very into counts of this. Like, I very much believe that you can make a difference, that, every person can do their bit. But then at the same time, you don't have to feel like you're single-handedly ruining the environment just because,
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, an individual's percentage is going to be very low in comparison to big corporations or whatever, but it's obviously the small things you can do makes the little bit of difference,
right?
And to sort of preach being eco-friendly, I think it's good to sort of give the message that you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to stop using the car at all. Definitely. Cut out plastic completely. It's just do stuff where you can, and that will make a difference, and then you can progress from there.
It doesn't have to be that all or nothing mentality. I think we definitely touched on this in the episode with you before. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing mentality, and making a small change is a hell of a lot better than making no change at all.
Yeah, and that's because I hosted the one on the vegetarian week that I did recently, and that's I kind of went a bit wax lyrical in the caption, because I worked out how much carbon, roughly, I looked it up on one of my websites and sort of found roughly how much carbon it would have saved in just a week. And in that I was sort of reminded of how much someone can do. Like, you might not be able to buy an electric car or take the train every day, but there are still things that you can do to make a difference. And
why not do that? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not make a small change?
Yeah, because it's so easy to feel, we can't do a difference. And
Right.
I think with the COP26 summit this week, I felt like that on one day. I was watching it. I was like, God, what's the point? Doing all of this, and then countries can't even do one thing. And then it was actually posting that I thought, wait, no, I can make a difference. We will, as consumers, make a difference if we want that change.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because if people aren't going towards those products that are hurting the environment, those companies have to change,
Yeah.
and those products will cease to exist.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a matter of time, and people continuing to support the places that are helping.
Yeah.
Meat
No.
consumption's gone down massively in recent years, so
That's
that's one thing at
Yeah.
least.
That's one of the things. It's just, as I say again, it's a similar thing with vegetarianism, where people sort of dismiss the fact that they would go vegetarian because they don't want to. They want to have a nice steak, or and something I'd say with that is just reduce it. You can have your nice steak, you can have your chicken, but you don't have to have it every day.
No.
There's a lot of really nice vegetarian dishes,
All the
vegan
burgers.
takeaways.
Sorry, what was that? The
Burgers.
Oh, the Linda McCartney one.
Oh yeah.
They're decent.
They're so nice. Sorry, carry on.
It's like just making that one change where I've probably had a bit too much chicken this week. I'll have a
swap
different sandwich,
swap one meal out.
I like, even you limit to not really having much red meat, like maybe once a week or something like that.
My family barely eat red meat. We haven't done for years. Occasionally mince, or very, very rarely a steak on a special occasion. But also because of health reasons as well, like trying to cut more and more down for that. But
too much red meat is not good for for you, particularly your gut. So if not for any other reason, for health reasons, if you're eating red meat every day, maybe cut out 1 or 2 meals.
Yeah. I read somewhere, I'm not sure how accurate this was, so this might be wildly wrong, but still, the mentality.
Allegedly, possibly.
Allegedly, with a little asterisk. Fact check. But that reducing meat from 100 grams a day to 50 grams a day can save like a ton of carbon every year.
Okay.
Something.
We will fact check that.
But that's something I read somewhere in passing, and I thought, like, what a massive difference that would make. And I was talking about this to my parents a couple of weeks back, of if you could make one change in the world, what would it be? And obviously first answer sort of stop carbon polluting, and then someone said stop driving. And I made the point of, well, if everyone went vegetarian, because everyone eats but not everyone drives, it's like only a third of Londoners actually own a car, but then everyone obviously eats. So if people went vegetarian, or at least partially vegetarian, then it would make a massive impact. Sometimes even bigger, I think. But
I think I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I because is it really going to be enough though, these small changes? Because a lot of people do talk about this sort of tipping point. And I don't think any of us, I'm being like a little bit harsh here, I'm saying this, but I think none of us are really qualified to go, oh yes, for sure, and no one really knows for certain. But if we're all almost at this tipping point, are these like little nice changes just to make us feel good, or are they actually doing anything meaningful?
I thought you meant like, are individual steps enough? And I was like, absolutely not. We need the government.
No, of course.
But I see what you mean.
There is a lot of hoping that people who are governing us are making the difference as well.
Right.
Corporations also doing their bit. But I suppose in that case, if they're not doing that bit, you can vote. You can vote people out. You can vote people who will make the change. The corporations, you can stop supporting places like Amazon that are mass polluters.
Yeah, we'd agree. We're in my mum's independent bookshop right now. So
exactly.
Absolutely.
all those sort of companies that aren't paying tax on, like it came out recently. One of the big oil companies wasn't paying tax on their fuel or something like that.
That's a big
allegedly.
shock, that, Tom.
Which it was a fair couple of.
But it's just they're not a lot of these companies don't play by the same rules as you and I.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just trying to do what you can to sort of hold people accountable.
And I know what. Sorry, you mentioned voting, and I'm not sure if I've said this to you before. I might have done, but I've always compared sort of environmentalism to voting,
right?
Because everyone's like, one vote doesn't matter, and like one person, one change doesn't matter. But if everyone thought that, no one would be in power. Like, you can't think like that when it comes to voting. Everyone vote. Yeah, voting. But then also with environmentalism, like, you know, throughout history, and there are key people that make changes, there are individuals that will lead the way, but en masse, you know, mass voting for this and that, like,
no, I agree.
It does change.
And whilst we were talking, I was thinking about that, of how much of it is us just doing stuff to make us feel good, and you know, they might not be big enough changes. Yes, ultimately, I think we're all on the same page that yes, it will be nice for us as a collective to make these changes, but ultimately it's the governments and the corporations that need to make the changes more necessarily so. However, if we're doing these little things that aren't making a huge difference, maybe it's a small difference, but if they make us feel good, yes, that might be a little bit just us satisfying our own sense of, I'm doing my bit. Yeah. Then if it makes us feel good, then okay, then we're going to repeat it. And it might start out with making that small change, and we might just be just doing it for that momentary, just that person's not doing their bit, I am. And even if it comes from a place of arrogance in a way, it's probably actually better to do that. And if you feel good about it, feel great about it, you're going to do it again, and then you might go, right, what's the next thing I can do? Now I'm chasing that environmental high of, I've sorted out my recycling, now I'm going to be vegetarian, now I'm going to get an electric car, and and you're more likely to talk about things you like than things you're not ashamed of. But I'm not going to go around being like, I had a steak for dinner, everyone. Right. I might be like Linda McCartney burgers. Part 2, they're great. Yeah, well, I feel like Tom's got them all on our mind now, so Linda McCartney burgers. Sorry?
I remember.
With the mozzarella.
The mozzarella one?
Yeah.
Do you know what I've never had them. I've had the sausages.
Yeah, the sausages are God tier.
God tier. They are good.
Yeah. I was going to comment. Yeah, I don't massively like the corn sausages, but
they're standard, I would say. It's gone into food grade thing.
I think that might be like another next project of like just ranking.
I would do the food and you can just do the other bits.
Yeah. Tom tries food.
Tom does a taste test on every single vegetarian sausage out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Richmond ones are very good. I was really surprised they were meat. Weren't meat. I mean, I bit into one. I was like, I picked up the right stuff, because I mean, Richmond sausages don't have a high pork content anyway, so it just tastes exactly like one. Yeah, to be honest,
probably the vegetarian ones have the same amount of pork as the meat ones.
But yeah, those were surprisingly nice.
It's Tom's seal of approval. Listen, if Richmond are listening, we'll get a nice little sponsorship.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You have to speak to my agent though.
Yeah, exactly. Don't deal with him direct.
No.
Agent deals with that stuff.
Message.
So I'm gonna push you both, and I'll try and think of one for myself, and I guess anyone listening as well, of one change from today onwards you're going to try and make that you think will be of benefit to the environment. It can be as small as small as whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Maybe stop running the tap whilst you brush your teeth. Sometimes I forget to do that.
I mean, I don't do this anyway, really, but.
Oh no, that's a bit of a cop out.
That was the start of a comment.
Go on.
Okay. We'll see.
I've got quite into iced tea recently. Not iced tea, iced coffee. That's the one. But whenever you get iced coffee, it always comes in a plastic cup.
Okay.
And I would not buy a plastic bottle of like Coke or anything like that, because I just don't like it. But that's the one thing that I'll buy it and it will come in plastic, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing so I really need to start like bringing actually using like recyclable.
So you have like a reusable cup that you're not currently using.
Mug.
Okay.
Yeah. You can get one of those. It looks like the plastic ones they give you, but it's reusable one.
Yeah.
But you could get one of those.
Mm.
There we go.
Sorted.
So
really, it should be I'll stop driving to work.
Well, but you said yourself, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge change initially, and it can be that one small thing that then, because once you've gone right, I'm not ever gonna have a reusable iced coffee again.
Yeah.
And that then becomes a habit of right. I'm always gonna have my cup, and then what next? So that could be the first step on the
on the ladder.
On the ladder.
Yeah.
Similar. I had an idea of sort of similar. Obviously, the car being the major one.
Yeah.
Should probably walk more where I can. But the other one was just to remember my reusable coffee mug if I am going out to get coffee and not sitting in, of course.
Can you tell we drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm on the same page as you both.
Yeah.
It's bad, and I would say making the most of local coffee shops as well.
Right.
That is another thing, which isn't really not really eco-friendly, but support the local stuff.
Yeah. Shop small. All that. Though we did do quite good. We went on holiday to Edinburgh, took the train. It was good. Good stuff. Would recommend, don't fly.
So both of you are making coffee related changes then?
Yeah, I'll try and think of another one while this train of thought ends.
To be honest, I'm struggling for myself.
It's because the main one is the
car.
Yeah.
I can feel great, but I cycle. Yeah. I mean, I drove here today, but yeah, I'm sorted then. I think when there is like and fun enough, I have actually started trying different environmental sort of alternatives. So like the bamboo toothbrush, and with shampoo, we sell like the refillable ones. So like you get the small plastic pouch, and then you've got like a metal one a metal shampoo bottle you just keep.
Yeah. Is that Wild? No, that's the. Yeah,
no,
I know the one.
It's just Head and Shoulders. I think they do a few
really?
So the one I've got Head and Shoulders, but Aussie.
Didn't know that.
I don't know the other ones, but yeah. So I've done those ones where I've seen them. In my head now, I'm thinking there probably are numerous other alternatives that Emma's probably gone, I've tried that already, that's great, or that's awful. So I think next time I'm out shopping, one of the things that I'd normally buy, I'm gonna at least try one of the environmentals if I see it. But that's the difficulty. Sometimes they're not going to be right at the forefront of where everything is. They're not going to be on the offers. They're going to be, you have to go looking for them. Yeah. So I'm going to commit to next time I go shopping for myself, I'm going to go looking for one of these environmental alternatives. Give it a go. I might hate it. It might not work for me, but at least I've tried it.
Emma.
But then, yeah, just have a dartboard with Emma's face, just going, "You told me to try this."
Unlearn.
Yeah. So yeah, I think next time I'm shopping, I'm going to try an environmental alternative. I'm going to hunt for it as well.
Yeah. I'm thinking with Christmas coming up as well, like trying to both buy. I want to shop small this year as well. Like I don't like Amazon. Right. Also, you can find things cheaper than on Amazon. It's always cheaper somewhere else. Not the point. Point being though, like trying to think of like products that aren't wrapped in plastic and like not trying to be the person that's like enforcing eco things on everyone else, but you know, we can
why,
get away with it.
Why would you? When you can buy something as like in the local town quite easily,
such as Ware High Street, and there's a fantastic bookshop here, called the Book Nook.
Get all your book needs here.
Exactly.
Then why would you need to go? It's only out of convenience and maybe laziness to sort of just go on your phone and order it. Whereas you easily, if you're going into work the next day, you can just sort of pick it up before you go home or something like that. Not saying everyone can, but it's just sort of that sort of ideology of not always taking convenience first.
Yeah.
And it could just be that one occasion where you go out of your way and that can open the door to you making a whole bunch of other good choices.
Yeah.
So it might seem insignificant now. So anyone listening, so we've all made our commitments.
Well, actually, I thought of another one.
Tom's thought of another one. Go on. Well, you might inspire some more people. This
actually was. It's very sort of to the season, I guess. Not relying so much on the central heating of my house.
Put a jumper on.
Put trackies on, socks, lots of socks. Because turn it up just a couple of degrees, although it might feel quite toasty and warm.
It is nice though.
It is.
So blankets.
It's not good for your bills because the prices have gone up quite significantly. It's also not that great for the environment either. It's gas, it's all that stuff.
Do you know what you've just reminded me of actually? You know, earlier I asked you both, what's the worst thing that you do for the environment, the most awful thing? I've got something to get off my chest and confess that I did once, and I have a good reason for it. But it was when I was staying in my student place, and they basically charged exorbitant amounts for our heating and our electricity. Like, it was just way more than we should have been paying. But every single month, regardless of how much we used, it was a fixed amount. So one month I thought, I'm going to get my money's worth here. So it was like a rainforest in our place, and it was quite a big house as well, like fairly big for a student place. And I cranked it up, and it was tropical, but it felt so good to get my money's worth. And I feel like I'm probably telling this particularly to Emma, the wrong person, but I feel like I need to get that off my chest. I've done it, and it was so hot I had to like open the windows to let some of the steam out.
I thought you were going to say space heaters. I was like, oh, I hate
space heat. What are they? Just like the portable radiators?
In pubs, they have like
the skylights with
like the red light
sort of
type things
that literally just warm the atmosphere. Like, they're not I don't want that.
So I'm fine then it was probably about 40 degrees in our house.
I mean, when I was living in student accommodation as well, I probably took advantage of the having my own shower a bit too much. I just had showers where I felt like it. But a similar thing, I guess.
But it was quite funny though, because they were like, guys, like, what's, because we were normally quite conservative with it, but I'd reached the point where I'd had enough. But they were like, well, they're looking at the energy bills. Guys, like, there's something wrong. Like, what's gone on? These I think it was like a weekend I did it for. Like, no, they were just like they couldn't suss it out. They were just like, oh, like, why have you used like a month's worth of heating in 2 days?
Did you tell them? Right.
So I didn't. We didn't really tell them. We just put it back to like what it normally was.
Let's hope he doesn't listen to the podcast.
I mean, it was a long time ago now, so we got away with it. We're in the clear.
I'd have said, like, getting our money's worth. If you're going to charge us that much.
That's exactly what it was. It was just it was my sort of stand, and I wouldn't. It was only for a couple of days, but it was just like my stand of going, right, if you're going to overcharge us consistently, this is my stand. I'm going to get my money's worth. I definitely did. So we've all made our commitments to make these small changes. Tom's going to put a jumper on.
Yes.
Emma's going to bring her reusable coffee cup. And I'm going to, when I'm next shopping, look for an environmentally friendlier alternative and give it a go. I'm going to turn to the camera now and ask, so, well, what are you going to do? And we've covered quite a lot, actually. We're almost coming to the end now.
Yeah.
50 minutes in.
It didn't seem like it, to be fair. No.
Yeah, I do think on that, I know though that I think I focus quite a lot on plastic,
Right.
and it is very like plastic obviously is very bad for the environment, and it does burn quite a bit of fossil fuel. It's made from fossil fuels, but the current crisis is kind of more climate, and I'm aware that I need to make more changes in the sort of climate aspect of my life, like the driving, the food. Like I'm pretty much, we kind of, in my family we have kind of have more vegetarian meals now than meat-based meals. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. We still have some meat-based meals a week, but I think it's just that I know that it's more the environment, like carbon now, that I really need to cut back on. Maybe that's it. I'll go veganuary.
I don't know. I'm not going to correct you because I don't.
Yeah.
January? Veganuary?
Yeah, let's go with veganuary. It sounds better.
Yeah.
Whichever one's easier to say.
But yeah.
So just making small change. I think that's the emphasis on like what you try and do is just these small changes can make a big difference and put pressure on companies to start making changes themselves, and then hopefully as well that then opens the door for you to make a whole bunch more little changes.
Yeah. Though on that as well, on these sort of like commitments, I saw once that everyone put such a big thing on veganuary and sort of like what changes are you making in January, but it's like you can make these changes anytime.
Yeah, start now.
Yeah.
Why wait until the new year?
Like there are points in your life in like cycle that you might not be at the point that you can make those changes. You might not be at the point where you can go to the gym 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But there'll be sometimes that you might in a couple of months be like, yeah, I'm going to commit to this now. So
yeah,
I'm going to early New Year's it.
Yeah.
No more iced coffee.
No, you're allowed the iced coffee, but only like you're banned from using any plastic ones.
And I need to bring my metal straw. I have a metal straw now.
Or just don't use a straw. Like
don't use a straw. Yeah.
Sometimes that blows my mind. Is like it's all of a sudden it's like I need a straw to drink this thing that I never needed to drink.
It was a gift though. Yeah. I would say.
Yeah.
Great.
No, I do get the idea. But equally, that could also, going back to what we mentioned earlier, of that could be the feel-good factor that then makes you a lot more environmentally conscious in your other decisions. So actually, as much as you might want to criticise someone for making a non-issue an issue, it could then be right on Emma's mind now. I'm going to be thinking about other things I could do. So you never know.
I was going to say something.
Yeah. Is it lost? Yeah. It will come back if it will come back.
It always comes back.
I was just going to say, it didn't end up resembling couples therapy, which I'm quite grateful for. I think that would have been a lot more stressful for all three of us.
That'll be the next episode. Yeah,
that's like the next instalment. Like we really get into it. Like Tom tells us what he really thinks of Emma's environmental blog. No, I for one really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Was there anything you wanted to maybe touch on or add before we finished?
I think it's your blog. You're more.
I was still trying to remember.
What the thing that you've forgotten.
Yeah, but I can't. So I'm just.
How can people find your blog, Emma? If you indeed want to direct them to it, I don't know.
You find it if you want to find it. That's the way to go.
She could be like really cryptic about it. It's like, ooh.
There's a link on my Instagram page.
Yeah. Which is
Emma Tries Environmental.
Emma Tries Environmental.
All one word.
All one word.
All one word. Yeah, there's a link there.
TikTok page coming soon.
Are you gonna do a TikTok? Do it and make Tom do like loads of little silly dances with all the things that you try.
You know what? Keeping in mind the my dog. This is what I'm gonna really utilise.
Yeah,
using him for fame.
You have to
because on my Instagram there's a picture of him, Archie, now with his like poo bags, and they trying to get the like poses with him. It's just so funny.
Have you got like all
So
the outtakes
cute.
and stuff as well? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going through just like with him attacking this box.
At one point, he quite liked the box. He wanted to keep it.
Yeah,
He wasn't very happy when you took it away.
almost possessive, but we dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
You know, they're that good.
But do we get the shot in the
Got
end?
the shot, yeah.
That's all that matters.
But yeah, TikTok ending.
Yeah.
TikTok next. So what? Look out for Emma tries environmental TikTok.
God, no, don't.
Let's
gotta do it now. You gotta
Really
do it
bad.
now.
Yeah, I do. That'd be really bad.
Let's finish there then. Unless
Yeah.
Emma's remembered the thing that escaped her.
No.
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 It's
I'll
gone.
remember
Write it
once
down for the
you're-
next episode.
There we go.
That's-
There's content
that's
for the
what I
next
forgot.
episode already.
Yeah.
That thing. But thank you so much for coming down. It was a pleasure. I really
Thanks
enjoyed
for
it.
having us.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed it.